You want to know why you're not making it in life? You ain't got no passion. That's why. You ain't got no passion. One thing that I've learned as I've gone through my life is that for you to succeed in this world, you need to have passion. Everybody wants to make it, but they don't have no passion. And the reason they don't have passion goes back to my previous video. It's because they haven't taken the time to know themselves. Yo, in this life, one of the most important things that you can achieve is knowing yourself and figuring out what your passion is. Because once you figure out what your passion is, it's impossible for you to fail if you just lock in on that passion. But so many people don't want to do that. They don't want to take the time to know who they are because they're distracted by all of the things around them, all of the shiny objects, the popularity contest. And as long as you're in that popularity contest, as long as you're trying to fit in and be the cool guy, you're probably not going to find your passion. Because finding your passion takes a level of dedication that most people are not willing to have. In 2019, when I was a ordinary dude just working a 9-to-5, making minimum wage, I locked in. I started to think to myself, what do I need to do to get to the next level? Who am I as a person and what do I want to achieve? And that's when I found my passion. But the only way to do that is to believe in yourself and to figure out who you are as an individual. And most people, like I said, are not willing to do that because they're afraid of being rejected by the people around them. They're afraid of what their family's going to say. They're afraid of what their friends are going to say. They're afraid of failing. It's one of the biggest obstacles you can have as a human being, the fear of failure. When in reality, failure is just a step you need to reach in order to get to success. There is no success without failure. It takes a certain level of self-awareness to understand that for you to get to the top, you have to stumble and fall a few times. If it were easy, everybody would be there. And the very first step to getting there is knowing who you are. The second step is finding your passion. It ain't rocket science. All of the self-help books, all of the motivational speakers that know what they're talking about, the ones that are actually genuinely trying to help you, not trying to just sell you an empty course, will tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you now. Be yourself and find out what you love, and then lock in. Once you find your passion and you spend time, you dedicate yourself to that one thing, that thing that makes your heart race, that's when your whole world changes. That's when your whole perspective on life changes. You forget about chasing the bag. You forget about chasing success, and you focus on being the best at whatever that thing is. That's what I did. I was a brokey just like you, and I decided to learn how to code because I had a passion for a project. And that passion led me to getting a 6-figure job and escaping the matrix. And when I say escaping the matrix, I don't mean what most people mean. I mean the matrix in your mind. The scarcity mindset, the fear of failure, the fear of what other people will say when you tell them what your passion is, when they see you working on that one thing and not wasting your time aimlessly scrolling the internet, aimlessly looking for answers. Some of you have been justifying the reason why you're on here scrolling. You say, oh, I'm scrolling on here because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. But it's a coping mechanism. The best way for you to figure out what you want to do in this life is to get off the internet and spend time with yourself. And self-reflection, meditation, journaling, psychoanalyzing yourself, figuring out how you work as an individual. Once you truly understand who you are as a person, finding your passion will be 10 times easier. And you're not going to find it on here, man. You're not going to find some guru who's going to hand it to you and tell you what you need to do. Every single person has their own path. That's how you become the main character in your life. That's how you become the person you were meant to be. I spent hours and hours and hours of self-reflection trying to figure out what I loved in this life. And one day I found that thing. You've got to do what's true to you as a person. Forget about reaching the goal. Forget about impressing other people and find what you really love doing. It sounds cliche. I know it sounds kind of stupid when you say it out loud, but that's the truth. You got to ask yourself, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? And who have you been for the past, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, maybe even. This might be the first time you're actually asking yourself this genuinely. A lot of people lie to themselves in order to avoid asking themselves the question of who they are as an actual individual, who they are as a person. And you don't want that to be you. You need to go find yourself and you need to find out what you love. Once I found out what I wanted to do, I spent hours and hours and hours doing it until I became the very best I could be at that thing. And that's not going to be something easy. Just like what I'm doing now. Your passion might not stay the same thing forever. It might change. My passion changed. I started out, well, actually, I've had many passions in my life. I've always done the same thing, attempted to master those passions. And every single time I've locked in on one passion and became the very best, other people around me noticed. And I've always been able to capitalize and make money off of the passion. Whether it be music, whether it be photography, whether it be art, coding, YouTube, it doesn't matter what it is. When you become the very best and you flaunt that around, other people will see that you're good at it and they'll be curious. And some of those people will be customers. Some of those people might want to learn the same thing that you're passionate about. Maybe their passion is the same as yours. You'll start to become a beacon for other people that have a like-minded perspective. But that only happens if you lock in. It only happens if you forget about the end goal. Focus on the journey. Focus on perfecting the craft. And when you do that, other people will notice you. Mark my words. If you start today, before you know it, other people will seek you out for knowledge. That's all life is about. The transference of knowledge. Having a skill that adds value back to your community and the people around you. Becoming the very best at something. Finding out who you are as a person. All of these things sound cliche. You've all heard this stuff since you were kids. From your parents, from teachers, from random gurus on the internet. This is nothing new. Because like I said, the steps, finding out what they are, is the easy part. Doing the steps is the hard part. Anybody can tell you how to run a multi-million-dollar business, but can they do it? Can they actually put those steps into action? That's the defining factor between becoming a successful person and becoming an armchair successful person. A keyboard warrior. A person who sits back and points out the flaws in other people's work, but they've never done the work themselves because they don't know who they are and they don't know what their passion is. For me, my passion has transitioned to YouTube. I come on here every day to make videos for you guys. Off the cuff, no script. And I'll have people come in here and tell me that these videos are not good and that I don't know what I'm doing and that I'm wasting my time. But it doesn't matter what those people say because I've gotten to the level of my life where I no longer care about the opinions of other people because I know what my passion is and I know what I love doing. And nothing in this world will stop me from achieving my goals. I will be the very best at this. I will be the very best speaker. I will be the most entertaining guy. I will be a person who adds value back to his community through the words that he speaks from his mouth. There ain't nobody who's going to stop me from doing that. And the longer I do this, the more hours I put into it, the better I'll get. And that applies to every single skill in this life. Life is literally a video game. You need to get your skill tree and you need to focus on an area and grind. Grind. I don't understand how some of you guys can play video games for hours and hours and hours and hours, and you still don't understand how the world works. You still don't understand how life works. It's literally the same mechanics. Get good. When you start a video game and you pick your vocation, you don't know what you need to do to achieve mastery in that vocation, but you lock in. And when you lock in, by the time you get to the high levels of the game, you're one of the best players in the game. It's the same thing with life. You wanted to interrupt Daddy's video. Okay, go crawl. Daddy's almost done. This applies to everything, my friend. It doesn't just apply to making money. It doesn't just apply to being popular. It doesn't just apply to being successful. It applies to every aspect of your life. I am a strong believer that somebody's outward appearance, the fruits of their labor, are a reflection of who they are as an individual. I didn't get to where I'm at in life because I was afraid of making decisions and afraid of failing. I got to where I am because I didn't have a fear of those things. But then again, not everybody in this world is meant to be a leader. Not everybody in this world is meant to be successful. If everybody were successful, who would do the dirty work that other people don't want to do? So it's up to you to choose what direction you want to go with your life. Do you want to be a person who's creating, who's building, who's getting that power and wealth and success, all of the things that you dream of? Or do you want to be a worker, a slave in the matrix? The choice is yours. But what I need you to do today is hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next video. This is part 2. Part 3 is all about the packaging, my boys. So lock in. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.